After years on the battlefield, he finally came home to meet the son he'd never held. The hospital room was quiet, too quiet for a place where new life had just begun. Rain tapped softly against the window as Daniel Harper stood in the doorway, still in uniform, boots dusty from travel, eyes tired from years that felt longer than time itself. He didn't step in right away. He just stood there, breathing slowly, like he was afraid the moment would disappear if he moved too fast. Because for 3 years, this moment only existed in letters. 3 years ago, Daniel deployed overseas. 2 weeks after he left, his wife Emily found out she was pregnant. She tried to tell him during a short satellite call, but the signal dropped before she could finish the sentence. By the time he heard the news, it came through a letter, a simple line written in shaky handwriting. "Daniel, you're going to be a dad." He read that line under a dim military tent light, somewhere far from home, while the sound of helicopters echoed in the distance. He folded the letter carefully and placed it inside his chest pocket, close to his heart. That's where it stayed for months, through heat, sandstorms, and long nights on watch. That letter never left him. Every night before sleeping, he'd read it again. He imagined tiny footsteps in a hallway he couldn't see, a laugh he couldn't hear, a child he hadn't met, already calling him Dad. But war has its own timeline. Leave got denied, flights got delayed, missions kept extending. And while Daniel counted days overseas, Emily counted them alone at home. She went to every doctor appointment by herself, felt the first kick alone, heard the first heartbeat alone. Still, she recorded everything on her phone. "Your dad will see this one day," she whispered to her belly when the baby was born. Daniel wasn't there. He received the photo through a slow military internet connection, a tiny face wrapped in a blue blanket. A message came with it. "Meet your son. His name is Noah." Daniel stared at the screen for a long time. His hands trembled, not from fear, not from cold, but from distance. The kind of distance you can't measure in miles. He wanted to hold his son. Instead, he held the phone. Months turned into years. Noah learned to crawl, then walk, then talk. Through video calls that froze and glitched, Daniel watched his son grow in pixels and broken audio. "Say hi to Daddy," Emily would say, and a tiny voice would answer through the screen. "Hi, Daddy Soldier." Every time Noah said that, Daniel smiled. But after the call ended, he sat in silence, because being a father through a screen doesn't feel like being a father at all. Finally, after 3 long years, the deployment ended. The flight home felt unreal. Daniel sat by the window, gripping the small stuffed bear he'd bought at the airport gift shop. Video created by Sub-80 Rock. It was the first gift he'd ever bought for his son. He kept imagining the moment. Would Noah recognize him? Would he be shy? Would he call him Dad or just a stranger in uniform? The plane landed. Crowds gathered. Families ran into each other's arms. Daniel walked slowly through the airport, scanning faces. Then he saw Emily. She stood there, holding a little boy's hand. Noah. For a second, everything stopped. Noise faded. Time slowed. Daniel took a step forward. Noah looked up at his mom. "Is that him?" Emily nodded softly. "That's your dad." The little boy stared, curious, unsure. Daniel knelt down, removing his cap, trying to smile through the emotion building in his chest. "Hey, buddy," he said gently. Noah didn't run. He didn't shout. He just walked forward slowly, studying the man in front of him. Then he asked something that broke Daniel's heart in the quietest way. "Are you staying this time?" Daniel swallowed hard. His voice cracked as he answered, "Yeah, I'm home." Noah stepped closer and wrapped his tiny arms around him. That was the first time Daniel held his son, 3 years late, but right on time. He closed his eyes tightly, holding Noah like he was holding every missed birthday, every missed bedtime story, every missed moment, all at once. Emily stood there watching, tears running down her face. Because sometimes love survives distance. Sometimes fatherhood begins long before the first hug. And sometimes the hardest part of being a soldier isn't the battlefield. It's the moments you miss while protecting everyone else's. Later that night, back at home, Daniel sat on the floor of Noah's room. Toy cars scattered around them, a bedtime lamp glowing softly. Noah climbed into his lap like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Daddy," he whispered, half asleep. "Don't go again." Daniel kissed the top of his head and held him a little tighter. "I'm right here, son." Outside, the world was quiet. No helicopters, no distant explosions, just the soft sound of a child breathing, safe and close. For the first time in years, Daniel finally felt like he was home. And sometimes, home isn't a place. It's the moment a child who was born in your absence finally falls asleep in your arms